from the Montgomery County Norristown Public Library, and today we're going to make some refreshing summer drinks. Now, we're going to be making some iced tea, and I know kids generally aren't that excited about tea. That's like an old person's drink. Well, it doesn't have to be, and there's many different kinds of tea that you may enjoy. But iced tea is really a tasty, cheap, refreshing thing that you can make in the summer. So we're going to talk a little bit, I'm going to talk a little bit about the different kinds of tea that you might encounter when you're making any kind of iced tea. There are a few basic ones. Black tea, which is like the Lipton tea that you get in the store. There's green tea, which, you know, a lot of people think have health benefits. There's red tea, or also known as rooibos, which is or African bush tea. And then there's herbal tea. And there's also a white tea. And actually, the black, green, and white teas all come from the same plant, from a specific bush that grows mostly in China and India. And there are some places in southern United States that also can grow it. It needs a mild climate. And black tea becomes black because they expose it to air so that it darkens. The green tea is sort of cooked or pan heated so that the oxidation process doesn't occur, and so the leaves stay green. And the white tea is the very tips of the plant before the leaves really start to open. So they're all from the same plant, but they all have very different flavors. So we're going to be working with the black tea today. And if you go to the grocery store and look at the Lipton tea or Red Rose or Tetley or whatever the store brand, it's going to say orange pekoe. And you may think that that's the type of tea it is, but orange pekoe only means that's the way the tea leaves are cut to put in the bag. So it's really not, it's not the kind of tea, it's a black tea. So we're going to do black tea, iced tea, and we're going to do a mint tea. Mint is an herb, so it's going to be an herbal tea. Herbal teas are generally anything that aren't black, green, white, you know, from that tea bush from China or India. And can be anything from mint, could be rose petals, could be lavender, could be different kinds of herbs that have kind of a fruity flavor, like lemongrass. So there are a great variety of things you can make iced tea from. And in the summer, mint tea is especially refreshing. You may be used to the mint flavor of toothpaste, which would be like a peppermint, or candy canes at Christmas time, which would be also peppermint. The little candies that you get at restaurants, the red and white ones wrapped in the twisty paper, that could be peppermint or spearmint. Gum, if you choose mint gum, that's sometimes spearmint, sometimes peppermint, or a blend. There are hundreds of different kinds of mint actually out in the world, and I happen to grow 3 different kinds, and I have peppermint, spearmint, and an apple mint. So this is the spearmint. Looks like the bugs have had a little feast on this one. And that, you can smell it. I can smell it. You can't smell it. And that is kind of a milder mint. The peppermint is very strong, a little bit sharp. You can see the leaves are smoother here. That's how you tell the difference between the two. Spearmint has a little more jaggedy leaves, and the peppermint is smooth. And this is the apple mint. At least I think it's apple mint. That's the closest I could figure out. And it has giant leaves, and they're a little bit hairy. They're fuzzy. So, and this actually is a sweeter, milder mint, and makes probably the best mint tea for iced tea, at least for my family, what we prefer. But you can decide what you like. I'm going to, in the library packets, you're going to have mint tea bags, which would be from an herbal company. And usually they do a blend of different kinds of teas. So there's usually peppermint, spearmint in there blended to give you the best flavor. So you can make mint tea with mint tea bags. You can use fresh mint, and you could use a bunch. I would say maybe twice as much as this. You can go to the grocery store in the produce aisle where the herbs are, and there's usually some fresh mint there, and you can buy it, or a farmer's market. Sometimes you can find it, or you can get dried tea. You can order it online. I did dry some tea to try and use it for this, but it didn't turn out so well. So I'm going to use the tea bags. The way you can tell mint, and there are a lot of herbs that are in the mint family, is that it has I don't know if you can see this, a square stem. So if you find any plants that have a square stem, you know that it's in the mint family. And there are a lot of herbs in the mint family, like basil. Basil is related to mint, and oregano, and those are two herbs that you use in Italian cooking, spaghetti sauce, pizza, whatever. So they all have sort of a pungent smell, and you know when you have mint. Catnip actually is a form of mint. If you ever have that for your cat and watch them kind of get all goofy when they roll around in it, that is also mint. And you can make tea out of catnip as well. So we're going to get started. A few things first. We are going to make sure our hands are washed before we start. If you have hair that hangs in your face or that you have to keep fussing with, tie it back or put a head wrap on so you don't have to touch it. If you have floppy clothes that would go into your food, put on something that won't flop into your food. And make sure your work surfaces are all clean. You can just use hot water and dish soap and a clean dishcloth to clean your surface area. And any dangly jewelry that could fall off or flop down and get into your ingredients. You don't want to have anything that you have to touch or fiddle with while you're cooking. It's sanitation. You want to keep clean, and if you have stuff that keeps falling in your food, that's not good. And safety. If something gets caught in a burner or on a knife, heaven forbid, you don't want that to happen. So follow those safety rules, sanitation rules. If your nose itches, scratch it with the back of your hand. If you have glasses that fall down, push them up. If you forget and you touch your face, just wash your hands. You can never wash your hands too many times in the kitchen. Okay, so now I'm going to show you the ingredients and the equipment that you need. We're also going to be making lemonade from scratch. And this is also a good refreshing drink. You may have never made it from real lemons before. You may have just gotten it in a carton or in a frozen can that you add water. But I'm going to show you today how to make real lemonade from real lemons. Okay, the ingredients you're going to need for the lemonade, you're going to need 4 medium or 3 large lemons. I'm not sure if they're large or medium. I'm going to measure the juice after we squeeze them. You're going to need 6 tea bags, black tea, orange pekoe. I have Lipton here, but you can use any, the store brand's fine. Very inexpensive ingredient there. I have also 4 mint tea bags and sugar. And I just have my big old tub of sugar here, or whatever kind of sweetener you prefer for your drinks. If you use Splenda or Equal or stevia, whatever, you can use that as well. So those are the main ingredients that you're going to need. You're also going to need water and ice. So now the equipment that you need for the lemons, you're going to need to, you're going to need a cutting board and a knife. You're going to need a measuring cup, a liquid measuring cup, and the liquid measuring cup is the kind with the pour spout. You are going to need a 1/4 cup and possibly a 1/2 cup to measure sugar for the lemonade. And you'll need a saucepan or some kind of pan that will hold up to 2 quarts of water. And you can tell usually on the bottom, it'll tell you how big your pan is. And it's 2.5 quarts. You will need some pitchers. We're going to make about 1/4 of lemonade, 1/4 of mint tea, and 2 quarts of iced tea. That says Bill's favorite bevy, which probably most people wouldn't think iced tea was your favorite bevy, but my husband, it's right up there. Anyway, you need a spoon to kind of stir things and fish things out. I would have another small spoon just to sprinkle in the sugar so that you don't put too much in there at one time. And I have this handy dandy little thing. This is a citrus juicer. If you have something like this, you might have a thing with a piece like this that you squeeze together with 2 handles, or anything similar to this. You don't need it, but it makes life easier. And I think that's it. We can get started. Okay, so we're going to start with the iced tea, the black tea, and you're going to need 4 cups of water. And if you don't have a 4-cup measure like this, you can use 2-cup measure. And how many times would you have to fill it to get 4 cups? 2, ding, ding, ding. So we're going to pour, be careful you don't leak out the back. We're going to put that in there. I'm going to turn it up on high and bring it just to a boil. So we're not going to stand here and watch my water boil, because there's an old saying, a watched pot never boils. It does, but it seems to take longer than if you find something else to do while you're waiting. So while we're waiting for that water to boil, we can make the sugar syrup for our lemonade. Now, whenever you mix water, and that's 1/2 cup of water, with sugar and heat it until the sugar dissolves, that is considered a simple syrup. And that is used a lot in baking. You can use it to sweeten things. You can use it to pour over fruit, or part of assembling a cake. Sometimes they call for a simple syrup. So we're going to add 3/4 cup of sugar to this. So you can either just fill your 3/4 cup or your 1/4 cup 3 times, or you can take your 1/2 cup and your 1/4 cup and fill each one once, because a 1/2 cup is how many quarters? 2 quarters. 2 quarters equals 1/2 cup. So 2 plus 1 is 3. Kitchen math. Okay, so I'm going to get my 3/4 cup of sugar. There's 1/2 or 2 quarters. And there's my other 1/4. Okay. So now we want to turn our heat on. And we're just going to keep this heated until all of that sugar dissolves. So I'm going to let that sit. We're going to stir it a little bit from time to time. Just let that get warm. Now, I've taken all the little paper jackets off of my tea bags because you don't need those. So inside those little paper packets are a tea bag. So while we're waiting for the water to boil, which is getting there, it's starting to form some bubbles. I've got my tea ready. Okay, it's simmering now. So what I like to do is to gather up all the tags from the tea, and I get a twisty tie. I kind of twist them all together so that they stay together when I put them in the pot. Okay, so now I'm going to turn the heat off, take this off the heat. Make sure you have a pot holder for that. I'm just going to slide this over here. Uh-oh. Good thing I did, because look what's happening in this other pan. When we weren't watching, this happens quickly. So let's stir it. See if that's hasn't. This will get clear when all of that is dissolved. Okay. So just let that. I'm going to turn the heat down a little bit and just let it kind of simmer till all of that gets done up. Okay, now we're going to put our tea bags in, and we are going to set our timer for 5 minutes. Put our tea bags in, get them nice and make sure they get down in there. And start our timer. And that is going to steep. That's what we call when the tea is in the pot, in the water. It is steeping, not sleeping. Okay, you can see it's already starting to turn tea colored. Okay, and over here, I think that's just bubbles on the bottom. I think that is dissolved. Okay, so we're going to take this off the heat and let it cool. And then we're waiting for this to finish steeping. Okay, so now we can start with the mint tea. And we're going to put another 4 cups of water in a pot. Whoop. And let that boil just like the others. And I have my naked tea bags here. And once that boils, then we can put that in and get that started. Okay, so while we're waiting for the mint to steep, I'm going to cut up some of these lemons. Now, I'm not sure if these are large or medium lemons, so I'm only going to cut 3 and see how that goes. Oop, that's my timer. So you want to cut it in half, widthwise, and then try to get out whatever seeds you can see there. You don't want that going in your drink. Just be careful with the knife. Don't get too crazy. You could use a little spoon, dig them out. Some people say if you roll the lemon on the counter like this, it makes the juice come out easier. So we'll see the difference between that lemon and this one. Let's look at this. Ooh, that sour smell. Now the sugar syrup is what's going to sweeten this, because if you don't that's our mint tea timer. Okay, my timer has just gone off, so I'm going to pull all my tea bags out of there. Now this is half as much water as you need. See, it's very, very dark. If you want, you can kind of squish the tea, press the water out of the tea bags. Or you can just leave it. And then we are going to add 4 cups of cold water. And this I had in my refrigerator. And that's going to dilute it and cool it down. Now, if you'd like to have a little taste of it, and I am going to get a little cup so that I don't have to keep dipping a spoon in here. And you can just kind of put some in a cup, have a little taste. You might not like it if it doesn't have sugar. Yeah, it's not too strong. So, I am going to I'm going to start with a 1/4 cup of sugar and see how that tastes. Now, things usually taste sweeter when they're cold, so this may not taste as sweet right away, but once it's chilled, it'll taste sweeter. So I'm going to put another little scoop in my cup here. I think I want it a little bit sweeter. And if you don't think it's strong enough, you can always add more tea bags the next time. So now this is 4 cups plus 4 cups is 8 cups. 2 cups is a pint. 2 pints is a quart. So if we have 8 cups and 2 cups is a pint, how many pints do we have in our 4 cups? That's right, 4 pints. And then if 4 pints equals a quart. So we have a quart of iced tea right here. I'm going to taste it again. Oh my God, my mint tea water is boiling, so. Whoa, that's probably a little bit too sweet. But if you pour it over ice, it's gonna the ice is gonna melt. Ooh, boiling. And dilute it. So maybe 1/3 of a cup is enough sugar for you. Okay, so our water boiled. And I have my tea bags here. And I'm gonna put that in there for 5 minutes. Okay, so different teas call for different water temperatures. So black tea is usually best at about 200 degrees, so it's just short of the boiling point of 212 degrees. Herbal teas are usually boiling, like at the 212, and the lighter the tea, the less high the temperature on the water. So if you were making green tea, you'd probably do maybe 190 degrees, and white tea would be like 180 degrees. And there are thermometers that you can buy, food thermometers, that can tell you if you really want to be a tea connoisseur and, you know, do it the right way and measure how hot your water is, you can get one of those thermometers. So I got my very sweet tea that is lukewarm, and I'm gonna let it sit here for about 10 minutes on the counter to cool off a little bit more while we wait for the mint tea to steep. Okay, so I'll roll this one. I think what this does is it breaks all those little capsules inside the segments and releases the juice. So I'm So these two over here were I think, the rolled ones on this left side here. Yeah, get out. This one's seedy character. Okay. Now, if you have one of these doodads, something like this, you just take the center of the lemon half and just squish it down. Twist it and squish. Try to get all the juice out as much as you can. That's pretty gutted. I think I'm going to measure the juice after I do this other half and just see, because we need 3/4 of a cup of juice. And there's going to be some pulp in there, little bits of lemon. Get those seeds out that we missed from before. Ah, come on, you. Get out there. Ah, you don't want to go. Okay. Oh, there's some other little. Oh, one more. Slippery little buggers. Okay. Let's see how much. One. So we need 3/4 of a cup. Oh, well, it's almost a half cup there, so we may only need 2 lemons for this. Okay, so this is the one we rolled. Oh, more seediness. And if you don't have one of these doodads, you can just simply squeeze the lemon with your hand like this. Just be careful because it spritzes. You want to aim it down. Squeeze with 2 hands. And then I kind of squash it the other way. Get all the juice out that you can. Probably not as efficient as doing it on here, but pretty close. And it builds your muscles. Okay, so this one I think was even more seeds. Come here, you. Could grow a lemon grove with all of these. You actually can grow a lemon tree from these seeds if you have the room in a big pot. We can't actually grow lemons in our backyard here in Pennsylvania because it gets cold in the winter and lemons need a warm climate. So if you grow a lemon tree, you have to keep it inside, which means that you have to have a large space to grow it. You know, like maybe a big sun porch or something. I got lemon seeds all over my counter. But that's okay because we'll clean it up later. All right, let's see how much juice we have from the second one. Oh, so close, so close. I'm just going to squeeze one more half and probably have too much. So apparently these are large lemons, not medium ones. So if you get a packet from the library, you will have large lemons. Okay. Seedy, seedy. I see the seed. Come on. Get over there. Whoop. My granddaughter broke my tripod. Yes, I'll blame her because she's not here. Okay, so we just want 3/4 of a cup. I'll just put a little bit more. Okay, so what was that? 1.5 lemons did the trick. Okay, so we have our 3/4 cup of juice, and we're going to put 3.5 cups of cold water into our pitcher. So we need to get our measuring cup and get 3.5 cups of water. Okay, so I'm going to fish the mint. And again, if you want to squeeze it a little bit. You don't want to squeeze too hard because sometimes what's inside there is bitter. So again, ooh, I can smell this. Yes, it's minty, all right. And you may like it just like that. I like sweet. So I'm going to put about 1/2 cup, which is actually 2 tablespoons. Maybe not even. We'll try 1 tablespoon. See how that goes. Wait, 4 tablespoons in 1/4 cup. Anyway. I think I like it a tiny bit sweeter. So maybe yeah, that's better. Okay, so we let all this stuff come to room temperature. And then we'll put it in pitchers and chill it. And then we'll have some fun. Okay, so here goes the water. The pitcher. The pitcher was not as big as I was expecting it to be. 3.5 cups of water. And we're going to put our lemon juice in there. I'm going to try to get those little tiny floaters off the edge there. Those little kind of half seeds. They won't hurt you if you encounter them. Some people are weird about lumps in their beverages. I figure if it tastes good, I don't really care too much, as long as I know what it is that's making my drink lumpy. Okay, so there's the 3/4 of a cup. And now, we're going to put the sugar syrup in there and stir it all together. So I hope my pitcher is big enough. I think it will be. Okay. Yeah, see how it's clear now. It was just the bubbles from the boiling on the bottom. Okay, so we're going to stir that all up. Where's our tasting cup? Well, this is going to be, the sugar syrup's probably still too warm. Actually, not too bad. That's pretty good. It actually might be a little too sweet. But you might want to just put maybe 2/3 of the sugar syrup in and taste it before you put the rest in. So there you go. There's some lemonade. chill that. Pour it over, I think if you poured it over ice, the ice would melt and dilute the sugar a little bit, so it wouldn't be quite so sweet. So we have our lemonade, and we have our, well, we got our mint tea, which is still pretty hot. And I am going to use a funnel. Put a funnel in there. And hope that won't spill all over the counter. Let's move you out of the way. Yeah. Pour. Don't drip. It is dripping. It is a little all over my counter, but most of it got in there. And this is the mint tea. Oops. You may wonder why there's an X on my window, plus some other stuff. It's because we had a kamikaze robin this spring that for some reason thought that his reflection in our window was a rival, and so felt compelled to attack the window at 5 o'clock in the morning while we were all trying to sleep. So I decided to try and discourage that by putting masking tape on my window. Okay, here's the iced tea, black tea. Oh my goodness. That didn't work very well. Okay. So my counter is a mess. All right, so we have iced tea, lemonade, and mint tea. So now, here's where you can do some interesting things. One thing you can do for any of these, for the mint tea, the black tea, or the lemonade, is if you have some cut up fruit, you can use strawberries, any kind of berries works well. You can use peaches or mango, or even some orange or lemon. I mean, not for the lemonade, of course, but for the other teas. So I'm going to take my tasting cup and I'm going to put some strawberries in the bottom here. And I am going to muddle them. Muddling is just kind of crushing them. And the spoon is not the best to do that. But you want to kind of get the essence out of the berries or the fruit or whatever. So you want to kind of crush it up a little bit. And if you want to stick it in a blender, you can do that. Okay. So then if you put, say, some lemonade in there. And let's see, what would be better at crushing that? Maybe a fork would work better in this situation. It turned the lemonade pink. And actually, if you buy pink lemonade anywhere, it usually has a little bit of grape juice in it to make it pink. You know, if you buy pink lemonade in the store, they put some other kind of fruit in there to give it the pink color. There's no such thing as a pink lemon as far as I know. Okay, so we have some strawberry lemonade. And you can strain those strawberries out if you don't want your lumpy drink. But you can let that sit for a little while, meld the flavors. Or drink it right away and it's delicious. So that's something you can do. You could do that with the tea. Now, the other thing you can do with the tea, you could add some of the mint into your lemonade. And then you have a mint lemonade, mint strawberry lemonade. Oh wow, that is so good. Oh, there's a little seed. Get out of there. That is really good. I really like that a lot. I'm going to have another sip. Here's something else that you can do. You can pour half lemonade and half iced tea. And this is what's known as an Arnold Palmer, because there was a golfer named Arnold Palmer who invented this drink. So it's tastes like tea, tastes like lemonade, best of both worlds. You could throw some mint tea in there too. If this were cold, that would be so refreshing. One more thing I read about that I'd like to try is putting a little vanilla in the mint tea. And I'm just going to put a little drop. Because, whoa, that was more than a drop. Probably good if you measure it. And we're going to see. I read that this is a good flavor mix, and we'll find out. Well, that's a little bit too much vanilla. It has the potential for being good, but there are just a few ideas for making a summer drink. You can have the straight iced tea, black iced tea. And the way I made it was sweet tea, which is the southern version of iced tea. If you go down south to the Carolinas or Florida, Texas, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, when you get iced tea, it's going to be very sweet like this. Another thing you can do if you want to make lemonade and you don't have access to fresh lemons, this is lemon juice from concentrate. You find this in probably the fruit aisle of the grocery store. And you can keep this in your refrigerator. Fresh lemon juice is the best, but this is not bad. And it actually has a recipe, usually has a recipe for lemonade on the back. And it makes a decent lemonade. So I've done this. And that works just as well too. And you can get this big bottle and keep it in your fridge and have it at hand whenever you want your lemonade. I hope you enjoy your summer drinks and have fun experimenting and creating your suicide mixes with all the different flavor combinations. Enjoy!